Lindsay, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
And tell me a little bit about your background first. How did you decide to become a nurse?
So I decided to become a nurse because I knew I wanted to do something in healthcare. And my very wise grandmother told me that I needed to do a degree that would lead to a job. They don't believe in useless degrees. So I decided to go into nursing, and it turns out I fell in love with nursing, and that was actually the kind of healthcare that I wanted to be a part of. And so I dropped the idea of being a physician and was very, very happy finishing my degree and moving forward from there.
And how long have you been working as an RN?
So it's 12 years this year that I've been working. Yeah, and I've worked in a variety of different settings, which is, I think, one of the most exciting parts about being a nurse, is that you can do so many different things.
And many nurses have said that the one of the best part of the job is interacting with patients. How is your experience with that?
100%. I think interacting with patients and being able to be an advocate for patients is one of the unique things about being a nurse. We get the chance to make both large and small differences in their healthcare journey, and that's a very, very rewarding part of the job.
Besides fighting and literally fighting for the life of patients, there's also issues fighting with bureaucracy and with treatment at workplaces. And then we have the pandemic, and things got worse. And well, we would like to hear a little bit about your experience. What's going on?
So I would agree. Like I said, I've worked in a bunch of different settings. I would say mainstay has been throughout my 12 years has been pediatric ICU, and I would say that the universal thing is about nurses is that it is a career that needs a high degree of resiliency just to do the job that we are wanting to go in to do. So these are resilient people that are doing this job. And the problem is that we don't want to take away the parts of our job that require us to be resilient. There is a lot of challenges in being a nurse. We see hard things, we have hard conversations. Being an advocate is a challenging and rewarding thing, but it's tiring. And the problem is when you add on top of that the bureaucracy and the lack of respect that we feel, those are actually cause these moral injuries for us that just pile up and pile up and pile up over time. People might think, oh, it's one shift you had to get through with low staffing, and it's more than one shift. First of all, in the span of my 12 years, I can barely remember a shift we were fully staffed. I would say also that the injury of not feeling respected for what we're doing and the extra lengths that we have to go just really wear us down. And that's what breaks us. It's not the patient care. We're happy to do that, and we love to do that, most of us. And I loved to do it. It's the other things on top of it, and that's what ended up breaking me, quite honestly.
There's also the pressure you learned as a professional to say, a professional doesn't quit. A professional just doesn't leave a job.
Right? Is that something that happened to you as well?
Well, it's hard because you go into this profession to care for people. So it's against our innate sense of who we are to do something that will make someone else's life harder. So leaving a career or changing careers is going to hurt both the patients, because it's one less nurse on the floor, and it's going to hurt your work family. And because of the challenges that we face, our culture at work is, quite honestly, our family, especially when you're working long shifts. I see them sometimes more than I see my own family. So it's a double whammy, if you will, of guilt, honestly, about leaving. And it makes it really hard for us to make the right decisions for us and to stand up for ourselves, because we are in the business of caring, and we don't want to hurt other people. And we know that us making changes or us speaking out is actually going to, in the short term, cause the same issues I'm struggling with to be worse for other people.
Absolutely. And do you mind telling a little bit, because after 12 years, after all your work and the love that you have for your work, and the preoccupation, right, the concerns that you have for not leaving your place of work abandoned, right? Why is it that at the end, what's the last straw that finally came to you and you said, you know what, I just cannot do this. I need to take a break?
The final straw for me was a small thing. It wasn't a big thing. It was a small thing. It was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will. And I didn't notice it until I had actually stepped away. I had an injury and I was away for a couple of weeks, and I didn't realize how much I was hurting until I had stepped away from the bedside, because we have been running for the last 2 years. And so to step away and let my body and my mind rest a little bit ended up being what I needed. But small things started to build up for me. Things like, it's going to seem really small to people that aren't nurses, but small things like, I didn't love giving my patients a bath. It sounds very small, but it's honestly, as an ICU nurse, I work with great people, and I always joke that if nothing else in the day, my baby will have a bath, it'll have a bow put on its head, and it'll have clean sheets. It's important to me. It's something that adds a lot of dignity, I think, to my patients, for them and their families. And I love doing it. And I found that I was still doing it because I hold myself to that standard, but I didn't love it anymore. And, I started to get overwhelmed and needing to call in sick more, because needing more of those like mental health days. And it all just was kind of a slow snowball, I would say, to when I left for those couple weeks when I hurt myself. And I realized that I just didn't have any more to give. And unfortunately, the asking, even though our COVID numbers, knock on wood, are stabilizing in the ICUs, the asks are continuing, because now we're dealing with the ripple effects of this. And people don't realize that. Things like these, like junior nurses, through no fault of their own, who've only been working for 2 years or 3 years in the pediatric sector, have never really seen very sick children, because kids went inside and they didn't get sick with normal childhood illnesses during this last 2 years, because they've been staying at home or not with the same frequency. So that's a huge onus to put on a bunch of junior nurses when there's a huge exodus of senior nurses. And then it means that those kids maybe aren't going to be able to be managed as well on the floor, because their nurses don't know, through no fault of their own. Nursing is a mentorship profession, and it's very difficult to I used to joke that I call it gestating a nurse. It's very difficult to do that if you don't have experienced people to help guide them and help them say, I just don't like the way she looks, and then, or something like that, and that's where the real loss is for me. And I think that that final straw was that I just wasn't getting any joy out of it anymore.
So nowadays, and for a long time, RNAO has been spoken about these kinds of issues
Right.
in the media all the time. Where we are now asking to the Premier to repeal Bill 124, which is one of the issues the nurses are facing right now. There's many more, and they're being spoken for years. And there's this part of the public and the media and the politicians trying to minimize these issues, trying to not giving them the importance that they have. What do you feel when you see this in the media, when people are trying to speaking up about the issues that you are feeling every single day? Yeah. And it seems to be very little done about that.
I think that, obviously my instinct is to feel angry about that, because that's not my lived experience. I think that it's important to understand for myself and what I do, especially, that people, until they live it, have a very hard time truly understanding. And until you need to keep these nurses, until you or your child needs that nurse that knows that, oh, you don't look right, or you know what, something just doesn't sit right with this kid with me, or something like that, then it's impossible for you to connect. And honestly, I don't want to put the burden of everything that we see and do on everybody, because we chose that. You guys didn't, and that's okay. But it's called empathy. And I think that's what has been missing, quite honestly, so much in the last months. And that's what honestly has been for me a really, it's been hard for me to stomach, that people aren't even willing to try to understand. And something like Bill 124, it's about the money, but it's not about the money. The numbers are insulting, that we are unable to get the same increases as our other frontline coworkers are in more male-dominated professions. However, what it is it's respect, because people respect firefighters, people respect police, people supposedly respect nursing. Well, how is that not mirrored in our compensation? And I feel like that is the key here, not just the money, but also that it's a sign of respect and that you actually do value us at the bedside.
Well, Lindsay, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts today. Sorry for asking something personal, but how are you doing right now? How is your family? How is your husband, your kids? Are you guys working on this? I know that you are no longer working at the hospital that you were working. You decided to leave and to have some rest. I just want to check and see if you are doing all right.
Thank you. Thanks for asking. I'm doing well. I have 3 young children, and they think it's great that I'm home more. I would say that it's been hard, though. When I did what I wrote, what I did on social media, I wasn't lying when I said it's a real grief and it's a real loss to lose something that I was passionate about and to lose my work family. And so I'm still kind of settling from that and not sure what's next for me. But yeah, it's been great. And being able to be an advocate and speak like this has actually really helped.
And the importance for you to be a registered nurse and to be part of the RNAO or this big group of people backing you up. What do you feel about that?
I feel like it was very galvanizing and humbling, and quite honestly, sickening. The dozens and dozens and dozens of messages I got from people saying that they were in the same position. And I felt like, how can I not? Because these are my work family, even the people that I don't know. We're all nurses and we're all going through very similar situations. So it's really been an honor, quite honestly, that people feel like they can trust me to be a voice for them.
Well, Lindsay Peltsch, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for speaking up, and I hope that everybody can watch this, can share it, can comment, and to know that they're not alone. No. They are feeling the same that you're feeling too, and you can share these universal experiences as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.